Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am finally back. You guys, I am back. Holy crap, it has been a minute. And I apologize for all of the delays. It has literally been one thing after another. It's been one of those months that each and every time I get to film, something happens and I'm not able to. Either the camera settings are still wonky and the coloring doesn't look right, which I hope I've pretty much got it dialed in. We'll see. But of course, thanks to Tanya Wells and her amazing husband, Andrew, because they have helped me so much. But between that and all of the snow that we have had, oh my gosh, you guys, I am scared to death that my basement's going to flood. In fact, I almost am like planning on it flooding because we had at one point 10 feet of snow, 10 feet of snow in my yard. It's been a lot. We've had some warm days this last week. So now I think we have about 5 feet left. And oh my gosh, I'm like checking every room to see if there's any seepage coming in. And of course, we looked into flood insurance. Oh, they're like, sure, we'll get you guys signed up. It's like, I think it was like $500 for the year or something like that. But it didn't cover landslide and seepage, which is exactly what we need it for. So no flood insurance. And we're just hoping that nothing happens and my basement doesn't flood. And I've been helping my family with my grandma and taking several trips. It's just, you guys, I have been crazy busy. And anytime I came and sat down and was ready to film, something happened and I'm not able to. So I am finally back. I'm so happy to be here. And thank you guys so much for your patience. I know that YouTube algorithm is going to really nail me to the wall for this because the YouTube algorithm does not like you taking a month off. Like they're not here for it. So we'll see how it goes. But this video is all about Glossier. Now, I have been trying out these products from Glossier for about a month. I bought them all myself. I didn't get any of this sent to me in PR. I've been kind of playing around with these products for the last month, and I wanted to get this video filmed and up for you guys prior to the Sephora spring event, because as we know, Glossier is a new brand at Sephora. And I wanted to do a full face, kind of share all of the products that I really like and some that I don't, in case some of these were on your radar for the Sephora spring event, which by the way, I will be doing my recommendations video. Come right back here tomorrow because I have so many good products to talk to you guys about in that video. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I have been making a list and checking that list twice. So definitely come back on the 13th for that video. But today we're going to get into the brand Glossier. So here is the description on the Glossier website about the brand. Because you guys know, oftentimes when I do a full face of one brand, I do like to talk about the brand and what they're all about. So on the About Us section on the website, it says, we make products designed with your real beauty routine in mind. Here you'll find skincare, makeup, body care, and fragrance, all painstakingly perfect to be worthy of your bathroom shelf. Now, I will say briefly, my daughter is obsessed with their Glossier You perfume. In fact, it's kind of her signature fragrance. I buy it for her pretty much every Christmas, every birthday to keep her stocked up on it because she absolutely loves it. And it's like every time I smell that fragrance, it reminds me of her. Very long lasting and oh, she loves it. It's her favorite. And it smells really, really good. Anyway, Glossier was founded in 2014 on the belief that beauty isn't built in a boardroom, it happens when you're a part of the process. We got our start with Into the Gloss, a beauty website devoted to people sharing the products they love and our source for inspiration and information. Now we're building the future beauty company where everything we make starts with you. We create the products you tell us you wish existed. We believe in thoughtful design and enabling conversation, which is where it starts, which I have some thoughts on my own. I have some recommendations for Glossier in this video, if they're listening. Doubtful, but you know. Most of all, we believe that the beauty is about having fun wherever you are in your journey. Now, Glossier kind of started as a blog, and the blog still exists today, which is really cool. And I will link that blog down in the description box down below. That's kind of the insight into the company and why they started the brand and how it got started. But today we're going to dive into each of these products. I'm going to try them all on. And because I've been testing and wearing them for the last several weeks, I have a lot of thoughts. And as I'm applying them, I will share them along the way. So everything I talk about in today's video, I will link down in the description box, and let's go ahead and jump into the application. So we're going to start with the base. This I did not actually purchase. This was sent in like a free gift from Sephora, and I think it was when Glossier like first launched on the Sephora website, if I'm not mistaken. So this is called the FutureDew. It's an oil serum hybrid, and that's exactly what I would describe it as. So it kind of has that oily texture to it. This is what it looks like when you pump it out. It has that oily texture to it. It also has this pearlescent look to it. It blends into the skin really nicely, but there's a but. And I don't recommend wearing this in conjunction with the skin tint. To me, it's too much hydration because they both kind of have the same texture. The skin tint also has that oily base to it and that oily texture. So having both of them together, unless you're really dry, so if you have really dry patches or your skin is just really in need of hydration, that would be the only time that I would recommend wearing them together. Now for me, I've been wearing this for the last several weeks now, off and on several weeks. And I would say for me, my favorite way to wear it is over top of like maybe like the Silk Canvas from Tatcha or a mattifying primer or something like that. Even the Grip Primer from Milk Makeup would not be a bad one to wear underneath this one. It's just, I wouldn't wear anything with that oily, serum-y texture to it. So with that out of the way, let's move on to the skin tint and also the concealer. I have two shades in the skin tint. This is actually called the Perfecting Skin Tint for Dewy Sheer Coverage. Retails for $26 and it comes in 12 shades. And it's exactly what it describes. It is a very sheer coverage. If you're like me and you have acne scarring or hyperpigmentation, I would highly recommend wearing a spot concealing concealer under the skin tint. Because for me, in my experience with this product, this just kind of evens out the skin tone and kind of gives you some color, right? And kind of doesn't really block the redness, but it will kind of give you an all even tone on the face, but it provides absolutely zero coverage. I have shade G5 and G9. I first bought G5, but it is a little bit too dark, and I'm a medium with like a golden undertone. So this is G5. And G9 is lighter. So for me, G5 is a little too dark and G9 is a little too light. So I've been mixing them together. And the way that they come out like this. It's really easy. So this is what the actual bottle looks like. It's really easy to mix them. But before I go in with that product, I'm going to spot conceal. So let's talk about the concealer really fast. So the concealer is called the Stretch Concealer for Dewy Buildable Coverage. I actually really like this concealer. I've been wearing it off and on for several weeks. Really like it. It's really, really natural, but also hydrating. Now this also comes in 12 shades, and I have this in the shade G6. It's just take a stiffer brush like this. This one's from Hourglass, actually. Spot conceal over top. It's a little golden, but it blends in once I put everything on. But I don't really love this for spot concealing underneath. And the reason for that is because it's a little dewy. And when I spot conceal, I like to wear a concealer that will lay on the skin and blend it out, and it kind of dries and sets down. So my favorite spot conceal is the Dior Forever Skin Correct. I have this in shade 3 Warm. That's the one that I personally like to use. How I've been wearing the skin tint. I will go in with the Dior concealer, put an even layer, blend it out, conceal all the spots that I want to conceal. Then I will go in with the skin tint and apply that And then if I have any spots that I want a little bit more coverage, I will go in with this. I want to show you guys what this skin tint looks like without anything underneath it, just so that you guys can see that it doesn't really provide much coverage. So that's what it looks like when I mix those two colors. And it's a really good color at that point. We're going to go right up here. So you can see that that has no coverage, but it provided some color on the skin, right? Okay, so I'm going to take the Dior Skin Correct. And what I like to do is just put a little bit on like this. Obviously, I'm not really dipping into, I'm just using what's on the sponge tip. Okay, I know it looks like a lot, but it's really not. I'm going to blend that in. So I got that even layer on, and you can see that I've provided some coverage. We're going to go ahead and go in with the skin tint now. And here's the thing with this skin tint and this whole makeup application. So applying a little bit of the concealer, this is a very natural makeup look. You're not going to get a full beat out of these products. Like, this brand was not created for a full beat. These products were created for more of that like natural makeup look. These are not the makeup products I would wear for like a photo op or, you know, family photos or whatever. Okay, so I've mixed some here on the back of my hand between G9 and G5. And now I like to stamp it with my brush. That's just the best way to get the nicest finish from it and the best coverage. And you can see it's a really pretty product. I actually really like it, but it is for those like no makeup kind of days where you want just a little bit of color brought into your skin, and you know, maybe you're feeling a little washed out and you need some color. And I also like the squeezy tube on this because it doesn't come out very fast, so you have a lot of control over how much comes out. You kind of have to squeeze the bottle to get it to come out. Okay, so my lips are dry and I'm gonna grab this, which I am in love with, you guys. Let's see, this is called Glossier Ultralip High Shine Lipstick with Hyaluronic Acid. And it looks like they have 9 shades. I have the shade Portrait and I love it. Oh, I love these. Okay. Let's move on to brows. I just put some concealer on my eyelids to kind of even them out. And Glossier has 2 products that I think their brand is probably really well known for. Their Boy Brow and their cheek tints, right? The Boy Brow is a volumizing brow gel. It comes in 5 colors and it retails for $17. Now, I am personally not a fan of the Boy Brow for a couple reasons. Number one, I prefer the Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Legendary Brows because of the spoolie. Like, you can see this little micro spoolie at the tip. When I wipe off the applicator, it gives me the perfect amount. And I really like the brush because I feel like the brush is small and it really grabs every single hair. Number 2, I don't really use these products anymore. So these type of like volumizing pomade type of products, I used all the time when I was growing out my brows. I'm still growing them out, but I have a lot more brow hairs to work with than I did years ago. If you're someone that doesn't have a lot of brow hairs, this or the Boy Brow is a perfect product. They also have the Brow Flicks. I have used the Brow Flicks. I've used them for years now, off and on. One thing that I can say about the Brow Flick that I do not like is that they need more shades. They have 3 shades in this. You have blonde, brown, or black. That's not gonna cover it. So this is blonde and this is dark. And you can see that blonde is quite warm and dark is cooler, but boy, you gotta be careful with it. I like the product overall. I like the detail tip. I think the tip is fantastic. It's not too thick. I like that it doesn't dry out as fast. The one thing you have to be careful is that if you tip this to do like little strokes here, you will run the risk of it getting too much product down into the tip, and then when you go to use it, it'll be a huge glob. So be mindful of that. I'm going to go in with my Brow Freeze from Benefit and kind of shape my brows and kind of set the hairs in place. Now, the trick with the Brow Freeze is you have to let it dry. I'm going to sit and let it dry for a minute. I'm going to take a couple of drinks from my Chick-fil-A lemonade. This is actually a cup that I have. I've had in my cupboard for a while, and I buy a gallon of the Chick-fil-A lemonade because I'm obsessed with it. If you didn't know, you can buy Chick-fil-A lemonade in the gallons. Now, it's not cheap, but it's so good. They have the best lemonade. Oh, I love it so much. So I'm going to go in with the brown here on this outer corner. I didn't know that the camera wasn't focused. Sorry about that. It's focusing on my hand, isn't it? Ugh. This autofocus is tricky. Oops, I made a boo-boo. Okay. So with that boo-boo, I'm going to go like this. Now I'm going to use the blonde here in the front. Okay. Is that, are they even? Probably not. Probably not. So I'm going to leave those there because I'll keep messing with them and then I'll mess them up. I just know myself way too well. So. Okay, so I put on my tape and we're going to move on to eyeshadow. Now this is where I was so pleasantly surprised by the formula and how much I love this palette, and I plan to order one more. I don't need it, but I want it. These are called the Monochromes, and it is a essential eyeshadow trio. These retail for $22. They have 6 available on the Sephora website, but on Glossier's website, they have 9 different color combinations. And I bought the shade Almond, and I've used this so many times since I first opened it. The one thing that I was really surprised by was just how silky this eyeshadow is. This is the matte shadow. So you have a matte and you have like a shimmer and then you have like a metallic, right? That's what this color combination looks like right there. Super easy to apply. One of those palettes that's easy and it kind of takes the thinking out of it. You open up a palette with multiple colors, right? For me anyway, I think the hardest thing for me is just trying to figure out what shades to kind of pick and put together and what shades go together. But Glossier kind of did it for you. Like they took the thinking out. And I'm not saying that many palettes don't have this. There's so many different like small little palettes that are very color coordinated. The matte is so easy to blend and it's kind of silky. Kind of reminds me of the Surat Beauty eyeshadows in the way that it blends and the way that the brush kind of picks it up. I'm just going to take a crease brush. I'm going to go into the matte shade. There's so much in it. So you get so much product. Like I've used it so many times and you can't tell, and they're refillable. So that's nice. But I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of that color here in the crease. And I'm going to go into the shimmer shadow down here at the bottom, and I'm going to use my Smith 253 brush, and I'm just going to place it all over the lid. I'm also going to bring a little bit of it up and into my crease because it's just such a light shimmer. It's not super shimmery. So if you want to bring some intensity going into the metallic shade right here, it just like brings a new level. It's such a gorgeous palette. I don't know. I'm not saying it's unique. I'm not saying that this is driving me nuts. I'm not saying that there's no other palettes like it. I'm not saying that at all. But I personally have just really enjoyed it. And the fact that it's $22, I think makes me enjoy it that much more. Before I move on to the lower lash line, I'm going to go ahead and grab the concealer. And I just dip my brush straight into it and apply it. It's really buildable. It's nice and hydrating, but not too hydrating. Some concealers can be too hydrating to the point where they can exaggerate wrinkles, but this one is really gorgeous on wrinkles. Really, really nice. Blended right into those lines right here, and it's not heavy, and it's not exaggerating, and it's not setting down into those lines. I have kind of fallen in love with this concealer. You guys remember, I reviewed the Tom Ford Stick Concealer, and I really like this concealer. I do. I still do. But I feel like, this is my personal opinion, I feel like the one from Glossier is even better than this one from Tom Ford, and it's so much cheaper. Like, so much cheaper than the one from Tom Ford. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into the matte shade, and I'm using the smudge brush from BK Beauty. And I'm just going to smudge this into the lower lash line. And I'm also going to kind of buff this line out. If you wanted to add a little bit of darkness right along your lash line, you could go into a darker matte eyeshadow, or you could take a dark brown eyeliner and kind of smudge it in. I'm going to actually take the Wayne Goss Eye Kohl pencil in the shade Tiger's Eye, and I'm going to go like right along the line and then kind of smudge it out a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing here on the upper lash line. I'm going to take a little bit of the Tarte Fake Awake. Okay, eyes are done. Let's move on to the face. So let's talk about this. So this is called the Solar Paint Luminous Gel Cream Bronzer. They retail for $20 and they come in 4 shades. Now I have this in the shade Heat. This is being described as an illuminating lightweight bronzer in a gel cream formula with a touch of luminosity from light reflecting pearls for a warm, sun-kissed summer glow. And I don't really love this. It dries so fast. Number 2, it's too sparkly. For me personally, it's got way too much illumination in it, and it just isn't that flattering on the face. Again, my opinion. My biggest complaint is it can get patchy super, super quick. There is no room for mistakes with this formula, is the best way to describe it. So I'm going to show you guys just for the sake of showing you on camera. I'm using my favorite brush. This is from BK Beauty. This is the 109. Now I'm going to put a little bit here and a little bit here. So I blended it out quickly. So I want to add a little bit right here because I need to. Again, it's all about working really fast. It's wearable, but it's not my favorite. There's so many good ones out on the market, and I just would not. This is just, it's too finicky, too hard to work with. And, you know, like I said, it doesn't really give you a lot of room for mistakes. It's just not my favorite. And it doesn't look flattering in the sun. So like in these lights, it doesn't look too bad, but when you go out into the sun, ooh, it's a little weird. But let's move on to the cloud paints. So these are a gel cream blush. Now, again, this is probably one of Glossier's like top sellers. I don't know why I got this shade. I got it on accident, but I don't hate it. So I bought the shade Spark, and it is a bright poppy red, and it is. So on the Sephora website, they have 6 shades available. On the Glossier's website, they have 8. So just FYI, it's not a terrible color, but it's too dark for my complexion, right? So I'm going to take this kind of brush. This is the Heavenly Luxe foundation brush. I'm going to take this kind of brush and just dip into this and barely kind of tap my cheek with it because it's a crazy color, you guys. I don't know why I ordered this color. It's way too dark for me. It's not a bad formula though. It's not. I have a lot of cream blushes in my collection. It's not a bad formula though. So even though this color is a little bit too bright for me, it is a nice formula. It is really natural. And I think that's kind of why they're so popular. I know I look a little ridiculous, but I'm going to powder and it'll soften all this up. But speaking of powder, I ordered the Glossier setting powder. This is called the Wonder Weightless Finishing Powder. And this retails for $22 and it comes in 5 shades. Now, I actually really like the packaging on this. And when I opened it, I was really excited about the mesh packaging and especially for the price. So if you can see down in this right here, this lid, if it will allow the camera to see how it has that little stopper right here. Well, that sits down inside this and it stops it from so much powder going into the container. So when I first opened it, I was like, oh yes, this is great. Okay. And then I used it. I bought the shade G5 to G7, right? Because I have G5 and G9 in the skin tint, I bought the G5 to G7 in the finishing powder. And oh my gosh, does it destroy my makeup. It's colored, right? So they don't have a translucent one. They're all colored. There's good and bad when it comes to setting powder being colored. I know why they did colored powder, because their products are such light, kind of sheer coverage, right? So they wanted to add a powder that is colored and you can use it for more coverage, that added kind of finish coverage. However, you have to be so careful. And if it's off even a little bit, it'll look terrible. And that has been my experience with this. The last time I put it on, it completely destroyed my makeup. You know, you can see I'm quite shiny, right? So it attaches to certain parts of the face that's really shiny more than others. And then you can see that dark spot and it looked awful. So I don't recommend this because of that. Now, I don't mind the powder. Don't like the powder underneath the eyes because it is a little more mattifying. However, if they came out with a translucent one, I might like it because I do really like the packaging. And I don't really necessarily mind the powder because it does do a good job of calming down the shine. It's just I do not like the colored powder at all whatsoever. I'm going to use my Hourglass Translucent Setting Powder and calm all of this down. I am going to use my favorite new brush, which is the Sonia G buffer brush. Oh my gosh, you guys, it is a good brush. And I'm just going to kind of stamp my Hourglass Translucent Setting Powder over top. This is before, this is after. Just kind of smooth everything out. I'm going to add a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury setting powder right here. And this Charlotte Tilbury powder works really well with that concealer. Oftentimes, if you have a concealer that's too hydrating, if you go to put finishing powder on, it can kind of look crusty. But even though this Glossier concealer is hydrating, going over top of it with that Charlotte Tilbury finishing powder, it looks really pretty. That's it for the application. I am officially done with my makeup. We're gonna go ahead and jump into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. Let's first start with these products. So the primer, the skin tint, and the concealer. Like I mentioned, I don't really like wearing the primer with this skin tint, but the primer is really nice and feels really nice. And I've actually worn this primer under like a more natural finish, maybe a little bit more leaning matte, and it looks really beautiful. I like this FutureDew. I just don't like it underneath this skin tint. Now, the skin tint and the concealer, I actually have really been enjoying them. The way I applied it today has been the way that I have been wearing it for the last several weeks, and I like it. I do. It is a really nice combination, especially for those like really light makeup skin days. But out of the three, I love the concealer. The concealer is definitely one of my top favorite products out of all of the products that I've tried from Glossier. And I would say my second favorite is the actual eyeshadows. I just love these little palettes. I think they're really cute. They're really travel friendly, and I do like kind of the tin packaging. I like that they're refillable. I like the color combinations, and I plan to get one more before I head off for vacation, but I really like these palettes. They're super easy to apply, look really beautiful. What I also like is that the shimmer and the metallic are not too heavy on the eye, so they're super wrinkle friendly, and they don't exaggerate wrinkles and texture and stuff inside the eyelid. So well done on this eyeshadow formula. I think it's kind of a hidden gem in my opinion, because I really haven't heard anybody really talking about these, and it's a great product. Very well done. As far as the brow pens, I think I pretty much covered that. I just wish they'd come out with more shades. I think that's definitely what they need. The powder and the bronzer, I definitely don't recommend either one of these. There's just so many great translucent setting powders out on the market that you don't have to worry about being colored just right. I do hope that they come out with a translucent powder in this because the packaging is fantastic. It's just the colored part of it is not my favorite. So I definitely don't recommend it. Same goes for the bronzer. The bronzer, I think I pretty much went over why I don't like the bronzer. The bronzer is really hard to use, and there is no room for mistakes. So I definitely don't recommend that. The cloud paint, I actually quite like this. I do. I think it's a nice product. I will say, even though the shade was really jarring when I first opened it, I was like, wow, but I am able to make it work, and it does blend out really nicely. And I like it. I think the formula is really nice. The lippy. So I would say this is my third favorite thing. Love this formula. In fact, I had to dig it out of my purse to film with it today. I love it. It is so hydrating, just so easy to kind of throw on, gives you a little bit of color, but it doesn't kind of slip and slide. Great formula. So I really love it. Those are all the products that I used in today's video. Sound off down below. How many of you guys have bought anything from Glossier, and what are your favorite products? I'm so curious to hear your thoughts. So definitely sound off down below. Thank you guys so much for your patience in waiting for me to get back filming again. I've missed you guys so much, and I'm just so happy to be back. And yeah, a lot of great videos coming up, so be on the look for those. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me in today's video. Don't forget to come right back here tomorrow, because I'm going to be sharing my Sephora sale recommendations, and I have some really good products to talk about in that video. So definitely come back tomorrow. I will see you guys all in tomorrow's video. Love you. Bye.